I was homeless, living in the wilderness from the years 2012 to 2017. I spent my life traveling around looking for a place to settle down. My psychology would not allow me to sleep on the streets. So I used to walk long distances to reach bush and set up a tent and sleep in the tent in the bush. I came across a lot of crazy wildlife, and it was so beautiful. I had to pretty much ditch everything. For a while, I only had a phone, but eventually I got a camera and a laptop. I could afford rent, but I couldn't afford the bond that it costs in order to get into a rental. So I was kind of stuck on the streets, and I couldn't get out of it because I couldn't save enough money to get bond. And not only that, I didn't know whether I wanted to settle down, and bond is giving a 6-month commitment. And I didn't really want to do that because I didn't know where I belonged. I was always grateful to stay at camping grounds, especially when they had power. I kind of had to detach from physical possessions because everything I owned was on my back. It was hard to choose what to keep with me and what to get rid of. I never knew what was vital for living a good lifestyle or the best lifestyle you can live under those conditions. Like, at one stage, I got stuff like a water filter so I could collect water from puddles and stuff like that. And I don't know if that was really a good decision, but it was a stage I went through where I was trying to live in the wilderness without going back to the city uh, as long as possible. Nature was so beautiful. It was so calming on my soul, and I don't regret those times because it really fulfilled me as a person, and I'm really glad to have experienced the closeness that I got to nature. I learned that having a roof over your head is priceless. You can't really put a dollar figure on it because protecting yourself from the elements is really, really important. And creating an environment that you can be comfortable in isn't the easiest, especially when you're out in the wilderness and you have mosquitoes and leeches and stuff like that to worry about. I encountered a lot of snakes, but they never hurt me. They just scare you. They just they have whip snakes and they go and stuff like that, like right in front of you, and it's like, oh crap. But I've never come under any harm from snakes. Now, ticks are another story. I've had a lot of trouble with ticks during my time in the wilderness. I believe that everybody should have the right to shelter, even if they're poor. Like, shelter's a human right, and when we deprive people of this, it's not right. Even if they're transient type people that don't know where they want to be or where they're supposed to be, and they're just floating, we should provide accommodation for these people. In Japan, they have these cheap internet cafes that homeless people can use that are safe and quite neat. Like, if they're not sure where they're gonna be next, they can just use that for a small amount of money and still be able to have a roof over their heads. So I really like the idea of internet cafes in Japan. I learned that trauma takes a lot of effort to recover from, so it's best to not inflict that trauma to begin with. You have to find cities that have bushlands that are close to them, and then you find the remote areas within that bushland and then set up a tent, and then you're good. The good thing about the experience is that I got my fill of nature, and now I'm very happy living inside a simulated environment. Nature can be quite scary. Animals coming up to you in the middle of the night trying to get food off you and stuff like that. When you're homeless, everybody always moves you on, so eventually the park rangers will find you and then move you on, but you just find a new location that is secluded, and then you're good for a while there again until you get caught, and the cycle just repeats. I will never take for granted the fact that I have a roof over my head. And now that you mention it, a full belly. It's hard to cook when you're in the wilderness. You can get things like a gas stove, but I didn't always have that. You end up eating mostly stuff like muesli and canned beans. The elements are actually quite harsh. Rain, wind, sun, and storms. When I came to Canberra for the second time in 2018, I wasn't homeless for very long before they housed me, and I have been safely and securely housed since then. For over 5 years, for the most part, I have been stable. Now I look back on it all and question what it all means, if anything. It was just something that happened in my life and contributed to the process of making me. Did anything traumatic like this happen in your life? And how did you respond to it? Let's talk about this in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate your attention span. Please do like and subscribe. Until next time.